how popular do you foresee psychedelic drugs becoming in the next 50 years? And do you think they would make us more collectively conscious as a species? So who asked this question? Who? Come on. And what's in your purse? Okay. Have you tried anything?
As a student in Oxford, I did. It gave me some little insight, but not a lot. I would say that it is likely that we'll see more and more of that. And,
why?
Especially because if people are less and less required in the job market, which I think is likely given the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning, the really big question will be what to do with all the people.
I should say we'll have time all of a sudden.
We'll have more time.
It's either Netflix or mushrooms.
It's Netflix, mushrooms, or computer games, or a combination.
Oh, there you go. Now we're talking about.
And
might be Netflix movies designed specifically for mushrooms.
Or something like that. And I personally would say that there is a great danger there, especially because, I'm all in favor of exploring the mind and consciousness and so forth, but when people take the path of psychedelic drugs, in the vast majority of cases, they end up wanting Disneyland. They want more and more excitement, the next thing, the next trip, and they become basically enslaved in this pursuit of ever more excitement. And if you really want to understand the human mind, you have to explore the entire field of the human mind. I personally would recommend starting with boredom and not with, bliss. People come, they try drugs or all kinds of things, they want bliss. You really want to understand the mind. It's very important that you cover all the different parts of the mental field.
So week one, sit in a room by yourself alone, boredom?
No, you don't have to invite boredom, but don't run away from it. You can't really get anywhere interesting if you are constantly running away from boredom. In many cases, boredom is like the first line of defense before you can get to the more interesting stuff. And my impression is that people that just constantly want excitement, they get entrapped inside a smaller and smaller cocoon, and they cannot see all the variety of reality.
I think just you didn't try good psychedelic drugs. That's a problem. I think you need to try. We'll talk about this later. But the person was, do you think they could make us more collectively conscious as a species? So with some friends, we meet once a year to talk about all kinds of things. And one year, somebody brought the question of, if you could give one thing as a gift to everybody in the world, what would it be? What would be your answer?
I need to think about that.
Go ahead, we'll wait.
I must say that I tend to be a slow thinker.
No, you don't.
I respond often quite fast because these are things I already thought about. But if you bring a new question that I never thought about before,
so this is your way to say this is the first question I'm asking you that you haven't been asked before. Okay, now it's a challenge. So anyway, one of my friends said that she thought that the best gift to give everybody would be MDMA. Mm-hmm. This drug that creates empathy, and the idea was that if everybody in the world consumed it at the same day, the same time, we might actually start caring more.
Yeah, but this is the kind of thing that once you get kind of addicted to the euphoric feeling, when it's gone, the results could be far, far worse. Part of the problem with very exciting experiences or very pleasant experiences is that you just want more and more of that. And if it's not coming...
We just need to talk about your drug habits. Okay. We'll talk about it off things. You just don't have the right dealer. So since then, I've been kind of spending some time with people with different injuries, mostly quadriplegics, trying to kind of figure out why, can I do anything about, figure out why some people are giving up and some people are not. And one of the lessons I learned was that the successful people in dealing with those difficult injuries did not think long-term to the meaning of life. They thought about daily challenges. So for example, there's one guy who got injured with a bicycle accident, also quadriplegic, and he asked the person who is his caretaker to put his clothes on the floor, and he would wiggle his body into it. He had a stick that he was all in his armpit, and he would kind of wiggle himself into the clothes. It would take him about 45 minutes every day, and he would time himself. And when he got to beat the 45 minutes, he felt he was accomplishing something. When he was slower, he felt he need to improve. And this is true for lots of other people as well, is that kind of the daily challenges, I think, are kind of easier to deal with than the big meaning of life.
Definitely.
So when I was reading your book, I was thinking, that you're concerned with you're kind of like
I'm concerned with the meaning of life.
Yeah. I don't want to tell you need to be depressed, but that's what I was thinking. That, from my perspective, I feel like I had a good day when I feel a little trick to help people live slightly better on the small scale. Let's get people to eat slightly better or save a little bit more money or exercise a bit more, all kinds of things like that. But when you look at the big picture, it's a little hard not to get depressed.
Well, that depends. I think people tend to be depressed when they look at the really big picture because people tend to find meaning in stories. I mean, usually when people ask, what is the meaning of life? Who am I? What am I doing here?
Yes.
They expect... I'll give an answer in a minute.
Okay.
Wait. The problem is the kind of answer they expect. In almost all cases, they expect to get a story. They expect to get a story with a role for them in the drama. I just need to find out what is the whole world is a stage, all people are actors. I just need to find out what is my role in the cosmic drama and fulfill it. And that's it. That's the meaning of life.
I thought it was 42. No, that was...
Oh, I'm getting to that. And the thing is that in order to be successful, a story needs to answer for two conditions, to fulfill two conditions. First of all, it must have a role for me in the story. If somebody comes and says, look, God created the universe and the earth and the ants, and he gave laws to the ants, and the ants do this, and the ants do that, and at the end of time he will come and judge the ants, and the good ants will go to heaven, and the bad ants will go to hell. And then you say, yeah, but what about me? And what about all the other humans? The humans, they don't have any role to play. Nobody will follow such a prophet. So the story must have a role. The ants, yeah. The story must have a role in it for me. And secondly, very importantly, the story must extend beyond my horizons. It should be something that really encompasses me, that I can't think beyond. And what's the meaning of that? And the wider your horizons, the more difficult it is to find a story that gives meaning to your life. We both come from Israel, so you probably can understand the following story. That as a teenager, the first big story of my life, I tried to find the meaning of life, was the nationalist story. that, the meaning of life, I need to serve the Israeli nation, and like you go in school, you have the Independence Day ceremonies and the Memorial Day ceremonies, and everybody dresses in white, and you read poems in memory of the fallen soldiers, and you wave flags and all that, and you get, this is the meaning of life. If I serve my country, and if I even give my life to my country, then I've done it. My life has meaning, and I will be part of the eternal Jewish people and Israeli nation, and that's it. I fulfilled my part in the cosmic drama. But I remember that even when I was 13 or 14, I knew that the universe existed for 13 billion years. And there is a good chance it will exist for another 13 billion years. And I started asking myself, well, will the Jewish people and Israel exist in 100 years? Probably, yes, hopefully. 1,000 years? Maybe. 10,000 years? Very unlikely. 10 million years? You're kidding. But the universe will still exist in 10 million years. And there won't be a Jewish people or an Israeli nation in 10 million years. So just becoming a part of the story of the Jewish nation, it means nothing in the really big scheme of things. So
So the answer to my previous question is yes, you are depressed.
No,
means nothing. It's like not purposeful.
Eventually I realized that the meaning of life does not come in the shape of a story with a role for me to play. And yes, people do get depressed when they begin to think in very big terms, because almost no story manages to hold out when you think in very big terms. I mean, there is another famous, the story about the turtles, that somebody asks, somebody believes that the earth is like this big immobile rock. And then they ask him, okay, and what keeps the rock in place? Oh, it's on the back of an elephant. And what keeps the elephant in place? Oh, it's on the back of a turtle. And the turtle on the back of another turtle. And that turtle, it's turtles all the way down, from there onwards. So when you really think big, most stories collapse. But if you realize that it's just the human expectation to receive an answer in terms of a story, this is the problem, there is no reason to be depressed.